Welcome to the Home Inspector Marketing Podcast. Because you're a home inspector looking to increase your sales, improve your cash flow, and boost your bottom line, you are in the right place. For additional training resources on how you can grow your home inspection business, go to microreturns.com right now. And now, here's the podcast.
Hi, this is Mike Crow, and I run a home inspection business. In fact, I've run a couple of home inspection businesses. The true joy for me, though, has been helping literally thousands of home inspectors build really solid home inspection businesses as well. We can help a single-man operation be able to do over $300,000 a year, maybe all the way up to $400,000 a year as a single inspector operation. Even better for me is the 80-plus companies that we have helped be able to build million-dollar home inspection businesses. I would like to help you be able to do the same thing.
Do I need to have a system created before hiring a new employee? When do I stop making systems and just run the business? Mike touched on these questions and more in a recent coaching call.
Can you show me the procedures of what it looks like for, hey, here's where the inspector does the job, and once the inspector does the job, here's how the paperwork, whether it's digital or real, flows from there until it's filed away, okay? And it sounds like you're not filing anything. And by the way, we still take in paperwork because we ask the people while we're at the job to sign again. In the old days, we used to print out the whole report, but now we only print off little parts of it. But here's the question is, do you have a 3-ring binder for such a simple system as this from start to finish? And I'd be willing to bet if I walked into Texas Inspect right now, and Jonathan will probably come hand it to me here in a second, but if I walked into Texas Inspect right now and said, hey, I want to see the binder for, or the segment in the binder for taking the money in and what it looks like and how we know that we got all the money, I want to see this in a 3-ring binder. I'll bet we don't have it either, okay? Which is one of those things is that we're always working on building those systems. Now, when Krista and I built the whole shelf system, we knew we had the whole shelf system. And Krista, by the way, one of the most brilliant things Krista did was she created a little sticker and she would put it on the paperwork. And then every person that had to touch each piece of it had to initial and say, I did this. Okay, so that we knew all the termite protections had been entered in and we knew by who. Okay, we knew that all the paperwork had been entered in and we knew by who. All right. But we didn't have it in a 3-ring binder even then. It's one of those things that I've developed over the years that I'm trying to help make sure that you see. So as you're growing your business, you have to have systems in place for all these things. And it's like what I've been telling Jonathan and Amber, you can't move up in the company until you can teach somebody else to do it. And if you don't have it written down, you can't teach them how to do it. Okay. And by the way, I have no problem, Isvan, Stan, hiring that person, putting them in the seat next to me and putting a 3-ring binder in their wonderful little hands with blank paper and having them start writing the system down. And then at the end of the day, they type it up and the next day we review it. Okay. I built like 90% of my systems using that technique. Okay. And going that direction. So here's one other thing is what happens after all that? So one of the things we talk about, and we talked about big time, because we just finished up another Big Bang Marketing Boot Camp here. One of the things we talked about was day after calls, okay? Now, is that a system? Is it in a 3-ring binder? And by the way, is the paperwork done before or after that? Okay, or are they completely separate systems? Ours are actually completely separate systems. And so one is not dependent upon the other to make the other happen. But the day after calls, who's doing those? And are they recorded? And is it written anywhere? Do you have scripts in a book somewhere where it says how to do all this? Okay, here's one of the things that Jonathan did brilliantly is that Jonathan, when we took over Texas, when Jonathan became the general manager of it, and Stan, you saw this happen, Isvan, maybe you saw it happen, we started writing our SOPs, our standards of practice, and we started showing them off at every single platinum meeting. So Jonathan has a great notebook for inspections. Here's where you park. Here's where you don't park. Here's what you say. Here's what you don't say. I mean, he has a great notebook for that. And almost all of us are really good at creating that notebook. But now what I want to make sure is that you have the notebook for, okay, how do you handle the paperwork? How do you handle the money? How do you handle the day after calls? How do you handle the before calls? One of the things we talked about here was in-house marketing. We have a notebook on this. I know we do, on the in-house marketing. Now, I'd be willing to bet that we're not doing the in-house marketing at the level that's in the notebook, okay? And so one of those things is, so we have to go back and then identify the system and then make sure that the system is running. Now, I'm going to say this very carefully, and I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, and I hope not. I don't think anybody on this call I'm going to hurt their feelings on. We have this tendency, guys, to create systems, and then we think we're done. That's probably my number one biggest mistake. And I will tell you, it's probably Jonathan's number one biggest mistake. We create a system, we go, great, this is done. We hand it to somebody, and then we don't look back and we keep moving forward. One of the things that I would love to see you do is create that 3-ring binder and create a list of all the systems that you want that to make sure that they're running right. And then at some point, and this, in our case, our office manager to some point does this, who's checking to make sure that system's being done every single day. So at McDonald's, for instance, okay, McDonald's has a clean the parking lot system. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty damn sure they do. Jonathan, does that sound right?
Well, we know they have a clean the kitchen system for sure.
Yep. I will tell you that when I was in Winn-Dixie, okay, we had a clean the parking lot system. The coolest thing about Winn-Dixie was they had a notebook, and this is probably where I got it from. They had a notebook for everything, and they had a training system for everything. And while I was on the clock, I could go study and take a test and get credit for having studied that system. Okay. And it might be as simple as, hey, here's how we stack the apples, to here's how we stack the oranges, and here's where they go, and here's where they don't go, and here's what these type of apples look like compared to these type of apples. And so it would identify 20 types of apples for me. Okay. But I mean, if you don't have the system in place, then you don't have that. So at some point, and maybe in April, okay, and I love this, and Jen, you're going to have to hold me to this and maybe tell the group or whatever. I would love for all of us between now and April, get yourself a 3-ring binder and start making a list of every system that needs to be running in your business to make it the right kind of business. Okay. Now, Coy, of course, is just starting with us. But for this call, what I'm really trying to focus on here are the bigger operations. And Coy, this is going to be so amazing for you because at some point you're going to go hire an inspector and hire another one and hire a client coordinator and hire a marketing person. And you want to make sure you have the systems right too. For a lot of us, we've had to build the systems after the fact. Okay. And I want to make sure that hopefully you don't have to do that. And Istvan was out there doing inspections every day, and Stan was out there doing inspections every day, and I was out there doing inspections every day. And then eventually we started hiring people and training them to do those parts. And of course, on the inspection side, we did a great job of teaching them how to do the inspection side. But on the office side and the other side, and I'm just going to be honest, guys, this is where I just really blew it out of the water. Let me move my notes over here so I can, there's things happening on chat and I want to make sure I can see it. So the question is, and I want to make sure that we all have a list of systems. Now, here's one of the greatest things that I created in the last couple of years, and it has hardly anything in it, and I'm disappointed. But Stan, I think you heard me. I have a notebook over here, and on the notebook is the word checklist. Okay. And all of us need a different checklist for different things. A checklist for making sure that the routes are done properly and out on a timely fashion, okay? A checklist for taking the money in. A checklist for, making sure that we're reviewing and doing the things for different things. And I will tell you, Jonathan is doing an incredible job, especially on the inspector side. So Jonathan is using Google Docs. So when one of our inspectors managers does a ride along, he goes in and fills it out, and it's stored for life, basically, until Google goes bankrupt or something. It's stored out there so that we can go review it and everything. So the day after calls is one of those things as well. Do we have a system for that? So on your piece of paper, and I'm going to run this question around the table real quick. On this piece of paper, besides inspection stuff, I don't want any inspection stuff. Okay, I want you to write down 3 major systems that you need to have running in your company so that you know your company's running right. And Istvan, Stan, Ricky, you guys don't even have to be there, because all you got to do is just go out and check the Google Docs or check this, and you know that your company's running right.
We hope you enjoyed the podcast, and as a friendly reminder, if you're looking to increase your sales, improve your cash flow, and boost your bottom line as a home inspector, go to microreturns.com right now.